Ladies and gentlemen, we are glad to have you again today on Press Hour. We might not have done any study, but from our daily observation, it will not be an overstatement to say that over 80% of information that the public consumes in Cameroon come from crowdsourced, and such information most of the time comes unsourced for in its rawest form. Social media has become the best platform of expression of crowdsourcing, making the traditional media, radio, television, and the print press a run for their money. We have no choice but to accept social media, and the topmost political class has internalized that lesson. The bad side of social media is evident. It is a medium par excellence of hate speech, disinformation, misinformation, and all forms of privacy and public attack. However, it can play a decisive role in a crucial election like the one we have in Cameroon on October the 12th. So, on Press Hour today, we ask, how will social media influence the October 12, 2025 presidential poll in Cameroon? I am Kilian Dandifon in Yaoundé, and this is Press Hour. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of CITV in Yaoundé, and this is Press Hour. To talk about a topic which we remind you of is how will social media influence the October 12, 2025 presidential poll in Cameroon. To talk about this topic, we have invited the type of people who can give you just the type of discussion you need on this set. Madame Ba Akwen Nadia is the National Youth President of the Union de Population du Cameroun, UPC. You're welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you, Mr. Darkilian, and thanks for the invitation. Hello to my co-panelists. It's a privilege being on this pedagogic platform with tamed minds like you guys are.
Thank you so much. And now you're coming right away from Douala for this program. We are honored that you sacrificed this much for Press Hour.
It is worth sacrificing because, Cameroon right now is at the stage of transition. So we need to sacrifice, we need to compromise so that Cameroon can, be that country which we have all wished for till date.
Okay, thank you so much once again for coming. We have Dr. Valentine Che. Dr. Valentine Che is an ICT expert, and he also has traveled over the Atlantic to Yaoundé. You're welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ndifon Kilian. And I want to thank and welcome my guest, the co-panelist. I want to also wish our viewers that we would be able to have an edifying discussion and talk about social media and its impact on elections generally, and see how it would impact elections in Cameroon.
Thank you so much. How does it feel like you're back to base, you're back to your homeland?
They say east or west, home is always best. Each time I come to Cameroon, I know that there is a part of me here, a part that never left, and hopefully, God willing, I will be returning to Cameroon for good.
Thank you so much. That part of him that who has never left, you will never leave him, is his umbilical cord. I think I got it right. Yes, we're going to welcome Dr. Winfred Fu, who is a technical advisor to the Minister of Post and Telecommunications. He also is a different kind of person in ICT. You're welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you very much, Kilian, and also thank you, my team that is also here. The impact of social media on elections is a global phenomenon, from the most democratic countries even to the most autocratic. So it's an important topic for us to talk through today.
Thank you so much, and you're going to enlighten us to see how it can influence, especially to make sure that the bad side of it does not overwhelm the good side of social media that's doing so much good for us as a country and for us as a world. At this time, Barrister Luke Kisop is barrister law and solicitor. Thank you, Barrister, for accepting to come to Press Hour.
Thank you, Killian. Once more, I am enlightened to come here and help, disseminate or give a pedagogic, view and a public, view of what happens and give guidelines as to the real impact that social media has on elections in Cameroon and all the endogenous and exogenous factors that, affect our country and what are the guidelines that we should follow to make sure that we sail through normally as a people.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Each time I invite you here, you always so edify the way you speak and edify the way you pass the message to the public. And we are glad again to have you. Elias Ngalame is the publisher. He is the editor-in-chief of the Echo Outlook newspaper. Elias?
Yes, thank you, Killian, for inviting me once more after a while. And I want to say hi to the other panelists. Thank you.
How frequent do you want me to invite you? Because
well, as frequent as you can.
I'll do that. There's no problem as far as that's concerned. Talking about the press hour is about the press. Manuela Vemnui has been reading the newspapers for us. Manuela?
The effervescence around the October 12th presidential election in Cameroon is building up, and newspapers have stayed true to their objective of informing their readers. Paul Biya declares his candidacy in Cameroon Tribune. I am candidate for October 12th presidential election, headlines the Post newspaper. The same information is carried on the Median, with the paper indicating that Biya published such information on his social media handles. To the Guardian Post, President Biya says he is candidate because he still has much to offer. The Voice newspaper writes 92-year-old Biya promises the best still to come. To Municipal Updates, Biya accepts people's call to run for 8th mandate. But the Horizon wants to know if Ngongo can save Biya, especially as Dr. Kakdu, second vice national chairman of the Social Democratic Front, says SDF will win the October 12 presidential poll in the Sun. News Hub thinks President Biya's candidacy is a wake-up call for change. At the time, the Post weekend questions, is Cameroon doomed with President for Life syndrome? The Herald Tribune thinks it is time for Cameroonians to vote wisely. Then the submission of files of candidates for the October poll is accelerated in Cameroon Tribune. The paper indicates that 5 files have so far been deposited at Elekam as of Thursday, before Biya tightens grip on the army ahead of the crucial election. In the Median, as 7 new generals and officers are appointed in Cameroon Insider, what the Voice sees as Biya's power play in military promotion, which follows re-election bid ahead of October polls. Coupe Maninguba CPDM then budgets 70 million CFA francs to ensure Biya's victory in the ultimate newspaper. At the time, OC Joshua says he is willing to let another candidate lead opposition coalition. In the Post, the 10 governors of Cameroon then build synergy for a hitch-free election in Cameroon Tribune. Regional governors discuss election security during their biannual conference in Cameroon Insider, a conclave during which Territorial Administration Minister Paula Tanganji puts governors on red alert in the Median. The Voice rather reports on what it terms interference in Elekam and Constitutional Council roles, as Tanganji literally declares Kamto out of presidential bid. The interest of the Guardian Post is on the president of the National Communication Council, Joe Chebonken Kalabupse, who is quoted as saying would wage fierce battle against media manipulation, then tells the media in the Voice newspaper, uphold peace and shun misinformation as presidential election nears. Happening when the Median wants to know who will become the next bâtonnier as lawyers gather in Yaoundé to vote. And in no time, Barrister Mba Eric Mba is re-elected Cameroon Bar Council president in the Post. The Guardian Post sees decades-long gentlemen's agreement broken at the bar as 3 Anglophones sweep all top positions, unlike before when if Bar Council President is Anglophone, President of the General Assembly is Francophone, and vice versa. And as Mba Eric retains baton in Cameroon Insider, the Herald Tribune says works on Bar office imminent as Mba retains presidency. Just when Minister Fukalistus flags off Minimata bauxite industrial mining project in the Guardian Post, the voice is clear that the Minimata bauxite project promises thousands of jobs and economic transformation. To the Herald Tribune, Minister Fukalistus unveils groundbreaking bauxite venture with 20-year exploitation plan. Just when SNH and partners launch multi-billion integrated depot and refinery project in Kribi in the Guardian Post. Limbe grieves as Kribi oil refinery takes off in what the Median describes as "Oh cry, my beloved Sonara." To the Herald Tribune, government abandons Sonara, opts for refinery in Kribi. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you so much, Emanuela. We have a journalist here, man of the press. After a press review, we always ask the pressman to choose one of the issues that came up in the press review so that we talk about before we go on to our focus. Elias Ngalame, this is your own turn.
Of course, the topic of the day, which is elections, features in most of the papers. I mean, candidates are thronging to Elekam to deposit their candidature, and I think that it's really an issue that has gripped the country, and we have to talk about it.
Yes, we are talking about it. What are you saying about it?
Well, essentially, the media is playing its role. The media is playing its role to educate the population on what has to be done and what does not have to be done before, during, and after the elections. The media has that particular role to play.
This far, we have about 24, less than 48 hours to go to the close of the submission of the candidacy papers. We already have 28 candidates declared. Elekam has received 28 files of candidacy. Now, and we have some names. We have the incumbent, President Paul Biya. We have one name that so many people have been talking about is there, Maurice Kamto,
yes,
who comes in under a different party, Manidem instead of MRC or CRM. Now, that is the talk of the day. We have names like Akere Muna. We have Isa Chiroma Bakari, who also made so much short waves when he resigned and then went as a presidential candidate on his own. We have Boba Bello Maigari. We have 3 ladies declared already. So the list is served. So what do you say about some of these things that we're saying?
Yes, Killian, during election periods, we have the good, we have the ugly, we have surprises, and we are seeing some of the surprises. In fact, I was discussing with some colleagues the other day that before Tuesday we may have up to 40 applicants, and these are situations that many people did not expect. But it only shows you the zeal that people want change at all costs. Those who are applying want change, just like the population want change. People yearn for change in Cameroon.
Yes, I'll go to someone who is a politician on the set, Madame Ba Akwen, National Youth President of the Union de Population du Cameroun, UPC. Where is your party, the UPC, in the 2025, October 2025 election?
Mr. Dar Killian, the UPC is one of the oldest parties in Cameroon. We cannot talk of the politicians or the political atmosphere of Cameroon without mentioning, the UPC. We all know that the UPC is the party who fought for Cameroon's independence and the reunification of this country. So politically, UPC stands out as the best party that masters the country we call Cameroon because of our project and all that. So the UPC is still having time. We're going to present our candidate before Monday, which is the deadline. Now, looking at the list of the people who have submitted their candidacy, Mr. Killian, I think that Cameroonians are taking this thing as a joke. Because when we look at the list, a lot of people have turned this country to a banana republic. I am not in accord with my co-panelists who spoke about Cameroonians yearning change via the publishing of the list. No. Because when we look at these people who presented themselves, we are talking of Issa, we are talking of Bello. These are people that have worked with the government. These are people who master the regime, who have been there, like, Issa Chiroma. He was one of the first, minister of transport in this country, okay? So today now he has gone back to his people because he is not satisfied with what has been presented to him. And now he comes out to tell Cameroonians, all the northerners, that, the regime is very bad. So I think that Cameroonians should be very careful because we are in a crossroad. We are in a very delicate stage of our history, Mr. Killian. So we need to be very careful with the things we say and the actions we portray. Look at what happened with, the candidacy of the CRM. Okay, Mr. Killian, I will tell you, this presidential election is, it's either we die together or we succeed together. All I tell people is, do not fall a prey to the mischievous candidacy. We had ladies like Joya, we had the other independent candidate like the lady, and the other woman who was a candidate in 2018. Okay, she was a candidate and her file was empty. So people are thinking that Cameroon is a banana republic where anybody can just get up and just, say, I'm a candidate and things will change. No, we have to be very careful, Mr. Dakilian.
Yes, I want you to say more. Issa Chiroma Bakare, you've talked about, who worked in the system, got up and said he has his right, because he has a political party, to continue with the alliance he had with the system, or to go as an individual. He chose the other side. That is the same message that Bello Buba Magari told his people. You were talking also about the CRM candidate, Maurice Kamto, who is running on the ticket of Manidem instead of CRM. I've been following up elections in other countries. I have seen even in the United States of America, whom we look up to as a country that preaches democracy. People resign from the Republican Party. Top members of that party resign. They resign from the Democratic Party. I have seen how big people in the Democratic Party or in the Republican Party go against certain bills tabled by them. So is it not their right?
It is their fundamental right, Mr. Darkinsley. But let me tell you, democracy is power to the people. Okay, and democracy is the voice of the majority. Yes, these people which you cited, we have Issa, we have Bello, we have Maurice Kamto. Mr. Dakilian, let me tell you, politics is about consistency. These people are not consistent. You cannot be working for a regime because these people were out of Maurice Kamto, who worked as a minister, okay? He hasn't worked with the government for long. He resigned and went. But these other people like Issa Chiroma and Bello Buba, these two people have been working with the system, and their party was, we call them Jeven. They accompanied the ruling party for so long. So today, because you are not satisfied,
they were out of the big 20 came by 2013.
Yes, the last 2013 presidential election.
It was a 2011 presidential election. That was when we had the big 20. Before then, Minister Issa Chiroma,
he has been working with the government since 1982.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He worked with the government. When Biya became president, he was appointed the first Minister of Transport. So, Mr. Dakilian, these people are not consistent for me.
But we hear that politics is a game of interest.
It's a game of interest, when the people find their interest in it. When you look at these people, Mr. Dakilian, we talk of Bello, we talk of Issa. These people are not, their interest is not for the people, but their personal interest. Because if they had the people in mind, you have worked with the government, you did not develop the North. Today you are dissatisfied and you go and tell the Northerners that the system hasn't worked for you people. The system, he is not small to develop the North.
Are you not only saying that as a political rival to those political parties because what they will say is that no, they're working for the people.
No, I think what she means is that they would have fired in a younger person.
No,
from their party.
no, I'm not talking of
Otherwise-
age. No, I'm not talking of age. What I'm talking is their inconsistency. Because he said that you can resign and you go back to because politics is a game of interest. But to me, I think that politics is a game of interest where the people find their interest in the game. When we look at the case of Issa and Bello, the interest of the people is not found because they have worked with this government for so long and they did not develop the North. So today they are dissatisfied, their personal interest, they go back and try to rally.
Maybe because they were not the president. Now,
Not
president,
that-
they will develop the North.
No, Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Darkillian,
Yes.
you must not be the president before you develop your region. No. We have the people. He is a minister. He has been in the ministries. He worked at the Ministry of Transport. He worked as a Minister of Communication. So he hasn't developed the North. So today you will not tell us that because the people of the Northerners are not satisfied with what we've been dishing out to them. And today you come and tell us you want to be a president. For me, I think it's
okay. We'll leave it there. We may
inconsistent.
come back to that. Yes, Dr. Winfred.
Thank you very much. Not being a politician, it's difficult to really talk on politics. But what I'm saying here is that my neighbor to the right, she's a politician. She can say what she's saying, but for me, the ultimate answer comes from the people. That's why social media is important for us to use it to educate the population. And the population is not stupid. They will be able to look through and understand the candidate that meets their needs. We can say everything, we can say anything about which candidate, but that doesn't count. What counts is what goes into the ballot box, and we do think that the Cameroonian people are getting more and more mature politically, and that this particular session, we talk about social media. The politicians should use the social media well to educate the population, and the population should be able to filter the type of information that is important for them. As she's saying, if a politician is erratic, it might be a sign of not being serious, but it could also be a sign of being serious. It's the conscience of each voter to be able to make their mind based on what they think that will respond best for their own interest.
Thank you so much. And we have a barrister law here. We've been touching certain things, but the law also has a way of looking at things from a less emotional point of view. Your take on this, Barrister Kisop, and then one other thing that I would like you to address when you finish your reaction to what has been said is so many people, which will be the focus of our discussion today, social media and the role it plays in our election. We want you to react to it and say, they've been saying the president of the Cameroon Democratic Movement, CPDM, Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, is that the candidacy of the incumbent was through social media. First, your reaction, then a word on that.
Well, Killian, once more, I'm very happy to be here. I listened to what the co-panelists are saying. I want to make a few precisions first before I go into the issues which you have asked me to talk about on social media. As someone who has actually participated in election petitions and election litigation, I want to reassure them that the fact that, because it's a procedure, the fact that you have gone and deposited your file to become a president doesn't automatically make you a candidate, because when you deposit your file, the electoral board will, review the validity, the eligibility criteria which have been set down by law, and if you meet that criteria, you shall be declared a candidate. And if you're not declared a candidate, or if you are declared a candidate, an aggrieved party, which is also, circumscribed by the law, can seize the Constitutional Council to either ask that your candidacy should be upheld, or it should be quashed. So it is the fact that there's a plethora of candidates in the presidential elections, or declared candidates, doesn't make them automatically candidates. And I'm saying this, to reassure my friend, the journalist, by the side that it is not because there are 1 million people or tens of 20 or 40 people who come and deposit their files to be presidential candidate that will make them presidential candidate. The law has prescribed eligibility criteria, and if they don't respect it, they will not be candidates.
Always be adventurous.
Yes.
Of course, we are aware of that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. As to the social media handling of the head of state's candidacy, there's nothing that is wrong with it. Let's be very clear. We are living in an information age. You know, when we went through Stone Age, Middle Age, Industrial Revolution, and now we're in the information age. In fact, information age has made it possible for people to communicate with others through social media, through all these other means of communication which did not exist, for example, like 200 years ago. So the head of state, by declaring his candidature, is a responsible act of a citizen who has taken into effect the fact that information or communication with his citizenry can be done through verified handlers, which is Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And besides, he's not violated any law. Anybody can declare their candidature, but the effectivity of the candidature is seen when you deposit your file at the electoral board, you know, to meet the criteria. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Yes. Let me get from you, Dr. Winfrey. You have heard the clarifications from the barrister, and you also are a very high-standing IT specialist. Tell us, what would be the choice of someone using, as he has said, is not against the law? Why would a big president use social media when he has CRTV, other national TV, radio, and print media to do that?
Well, you know, the internet or social media is a democratic tool. Everyone should be able to use it. I think for me, it's a wonderful plus for the head of state to be able to use that. If he didn't use it, the argument would have been contrary, that he is not advancing with the times. I think all over the world, you will see politicians using social media because it is a very powerful tool. And the president wants to win. So he should be able to engage the population, engage the electorate through social media. It's just like everybody. We have seen so many other people who have all along through 2025 been declaring their candidacy online. But as the barrister said, until you have that validation by the electoral board, you are no candidate. So it's animating. I think that shows that we are moving forward, and it's important that that the head of state does that, just like any candidate. It's a means of engaging the electorate, which is very powerful.
Engaging the electorate, and you know that the youth, they live, they eat, they drink, they sleep on social media. I'm asking Madam Ba, could that have been a way to appealing to the youth, and what's the role of the youth in this election?
Exactly, Mr. Darkilian. You know, Cameroonians have been complaining that the government is old. Most of our ministers are old, okay, and we need young blood in the system. So I think that President Biya announcing his candidacy via, you know, the social media is to attract the youths, is to talk to the youths, telling them that he's been hearing what they've been crying, you know, their cry, that the youth needs to get implicated into decision making. So he's calling for the youths to come so that together they can, you know, do this, what we call a generational transition. Because we all know that Cameroon counts practically 30 million inhabitants, and the majority are the youth. We are talking of 70%, which is the youth. That's about 18 to 19, you know, youth in Cameroon. So Cameroonians have been complaining about the old nature of the system of the government of President Biya. So Biya is trying to answer to that call. That is why he went on social media to announce his, you know, his candidacy, telling the youth that we can work together and the government can, you know, we can rejuvenate the government of this country.
Okay.
Via the youth.
Yes, at this moment we are going to face the topic. What role will social media play in the October 12, 2025 presidential election? Otherwise formulated, how will social media influence the October 12, 2025 presidential poll in Cameroon. I'm going to ask Dr. Che Valentine, who flew in from the UK. He is based that way. Tell us, what role does generally social media play in national events like the election, globally speaking?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kilian. And unlike most of my esteemed co-panelists, I am not a politician. I don't have a political background. So I'm going to analyze this basically on the social media as an ICT technology, right? So when we talk about social media, what we're talking about? Online platforms on how we can communicate. And to understand social media, we cannot talk about this without talking about internet penetration, because that is, the tool that powers social media. So worldwide, about 67.9% have access to the internet. But in Cameroon, we are about 45.6%. That is 12.4 million people have access to the internet. And it is no surprise that most Cameroonians access the internet via their smartphones, mobile phones. Mm-hmm. And for most Cameroonians, the first ever phone that they had would have been a smartphone. They are now cheap and readily available. So how will social media impact presidential elections? Cameroon is not a new case. And I've heard my esteemed co-panelists talk about President Biya, declaring his candidacy via social media. He's not the first. If we go back, not in the distant past, Donald Trump declared his candidacy via Twitter in 2024. He's a Republican. We had Ron DeSantis, who was another Republican, who declared his candidacy as well via Twitter. We have Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. Well, these are US politicians. Now we have President Biya, who has done that via social media. In India, in Brazil, in the Philippines, like Duterte, they have all declared their candidacy. Why do they use social media to declare their candidacy? It is very simple. The benefits are enormous. With social media, it is very easy to have that global reach. You reach out to the people, you go, you avoid the bureaucracy and the red tape. Mm-hmm. Many people, when they get up in the morning, the first thing they look at is their phones to see the latest updates. And given that it is an interactive, or let me call it a synchronous communication tool, where you send out your candidacy and you hear people, how they react to it, it is very easy to measure the temperature and see how people take it. Unlike traditional media, television, radio, print, where it is asynchronous. You send it out, you cannot tell how people feel. So social media as a tool is something that we should applaud the use. Again, I'm not a politician. I'm not saying who should, who shouldn't, but I'm saying everybody should, because it is a powerful tool and we need to use it. One of the esteemed co-panelists talked about a technological wave that we are riding. And the reason why I come to Cameroon, as you say, is to see how I can help Cameroon, Africa at large, to be able to ride this technological wave. We cannot afford to be left behind. So yes, the internet, yes, social media is a tool. It is a very powerful tool. It has its negatives, which I will talk about, but the positives are very, very evident to see.
Now, before we get to the negatives, we're going to touch that in the course of the program. Beginning with you, when you look at it, given that you've said 12.4 million Cameroonians have access to the internet, indirectly, they have access to this interactive manner in which information is treated on social media. From your own perspective, how will social media influence the election that is coming up?
Well, in terms of information, awareness of what is happening, many people will know what is happening. Whether or not they would participate is a different ballgame. But at least they would know what is happening because they have that direct control over the message. People will know, and other parties as well can take advantage of this to share their information out there. Because unlike other traditional media, where cost is an element, like if you want to use television, you want to use radio or print, there is a cost associated. But with social media, there is that instant access, where it is at very limited cost. There's still a cost, but very limited. So information about the elections is going to be widely known, widely spread. And if we understand how social media works, there is what you call the buzz, which is basically information that goes viral. Anything that is being said would be relayed even to those who do not have smartphones. The easiest way to send out information now is to send something on social media, and someone who reads it talks to about 5 or 6 people next to him. So when we understand as well that we are in an age where generally we like sensationalization, right? anything that comes up, there is also that problem that something may be misconstrued and it will go, it burns like wildfire. So yes, the social media is going to make the upcoming elections to be more spoken about, but whether or not it will actually push people to engage in the political process is a different ballgame.
Yes, Elias, with you of the press, how will social media influence this?
Yes, I think...
Because one thing is that sometimes some of us who are of the traditional media, I'm working for TV. TV is a traditional medium. You are print is a traditional medium, radio also. Now, the temptation is that the traditional media takes what comes out on social media and publishes, because sometimes it's difficult to just verify.
Yes, I think one important aspect of social media there is facilitating access to information. We know the difficulties that usually obtain, especially on polling days, to access information, especially in remote areas. But with the advent of social media now, TikTok and the other handles, on the spot, information will be obtained in time. And this will facilitate even the work of mainstream media. We get information from social media, but as professionals, we avoid the trappings of misinformation and disinformation by doing fact-checking. But I bet you, with the advent of social media, lots of information around elections, especially on polling days, most of the fraud mechanisms will be exposed. It's a polling station. Was there some dysfunction in the polling station? The population will know within the next minute. Has the election ended at the right time in a given polling station? The population will know within the next second. So with the access to social media, lots of things that used to go wrong will be put right.
Well, we also know, as the other panelists said, that people can intentionally create misinformation.
Yes, that is why I talked about fact checking. You understand? It's not all information on social media that you consume. As professionals, we know where to go to access information in social media. There are professional sites.
Okay.
If I need information about on the presidency, I know where to go to. You don't just pick haphazardly, and you know how to fact check to get your information correct.
Now, they are raising issues here which are real, and fact-checking also can become difficult because social media experts have gone very far in the way they've developed it. We have deep fake, where someone can make another person speak like you, or talk, or walk like you,
AI.
or do some other things using AI, and they think that you are the one, and they could take that for the truth. How is this possible? And I open the new chapter now. How can we make sure that we counter such misinformation, deepfake, and other forms of social media misuse?
I think what you're saying is very important, and what the media professional is saying. One of the dangers even is that on the election day, people are not supposed to campaign. But people can use the social media to campaign. Also, social media, as you say, information is coming from the polling stations. If I'm a losing candidate, it's easy for me to go online and say there's been fraud in the system. So the flip side of it is very, very strong. That's why political parties, what they will need to do is to have a QG, what we call the Quartier General, with technology experts. People have to be online all the time trying to filter what information, what disinformation is against them. People, other political parties will try to influence the electorate through lying, sabotage, and all of that. But the QG of each political party should be able to sit there, counteract that information, because the social media platform does two main things: informational, which is the right thing; disinformation, hatred, lies, all of that. There are two sides of the coin. So the electorate will be receiving these two sides of the coin almost at the same time. It is for the political parties to be able to counteract information, disinformation about them. So the training of the electorate is critical. And that brings in the role of the regulators within the media. The regulators must be able to also track down information or groups of people that are trying to disinform the public. And you have the regulator in the broadcast area.
Yes,
and,
the National Communication Council.
Yes, and ANTIC.
And ANTIC.
ANTIC is very powerful.
Yes.
They've been working on so many tools to be able to track down certain holes of disinformation. And so this is where it is. It's about educating the electorate. And the electorate, I think, more and more will be able to face information which will call for them to think before they react. What I always say is that any information that you see on social media, first of all, consider it as a lie. Then you work towards the truth of it. Because if you start from the truth, you will miss out what is wrong in that message. So, for the electorate, it's about taking, first of all, every information. Let me take the candidacy of the head of state. It didn't end there. The political party, the CPTM, had to go in and actually register the candidacy of the head of state. If they didn't do that, some people will go away saying that the head of state is already a presidential candidate. But that was not the case. It's just information, but you have to cross-check who gives the information that is the right thing. So that's where the education of the electorate is important, and social media is critical. So media outlets like what we're doing now, I think it's important. Many Cameroonians are beginning to understand that not every information they read or receive makes wrong. But just to conclude on that, it's about what the law says. It's also about when you forward messages. Because the law, if you forward messages, or if you forward a message that is not true, you can be very liable on the cybersecurity law. So these are some of the things that the regulators also will be looking at. It's not because we're in a political season that you can go about and say anything and think that you'll go away with it. And also the mystery of that. Once you are behind your phone or your laptop, you are unknown. You are always known if you want to be known. So that's something that it will be important for us.
Thank you for stating that so clearly, that anyone who thinks that they are holding their phone and they are master to whatever thing they broadcast. No, it is only as long as you give it out, you can be traced. He's always also talking about the law. Yes. Tell us more about what happens when you post things that are liable or that go against, transgress other forms of the law.
Cybersecurity. You know, Killian, if we want to start talking about the issues that deal with the law concerning the use of social media, we might talk till after tomorrow, but we have to talk about key aspects.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm happy that the doctor just gave the last point about what you call keyboard warriors. That's the word that people sit behind their phones and commit acts which that transgress the law. Well, I mean, Cameroon, like any other responsible country, has a regulatory framework about the use of social media. And some of these regulatory frameworks existed before the coming into place of social media, like the Penal Code, that condemns propagating of false information. You have the 1990 law, because we're talking also about the 1990 laws on freedom of expression, and that's where we have to be careful between when people say things on, disseminate information which might be false. So in as much as you have freedom of expression, you should not disseminate wrong information. If not, you fall liable to the violations which have been stated in the 1990 laws on press freedoms. Now, if we get into the framework of social media per se and cyber security and cyber criminality, we will start talking about the 2010 law and on cyber security, which Cameroon put in place. There's so much information there. Of course, we'll cite Section 78, which talks about propagation of false information, and the aggravating circumstances of Section 78, paragraph 2, that talks about propagating false information to the public. You know, the penalty for propagating false information to the public is aggravated. And it is also very important to inform our fellow viewers and at home and abroad that the people who can be punished are not only indigenous, you know, actors, people who are found inside the country, but also exogenous actors. I want to cite the 2001 Budapest Convention on Cyber Security, which Cameroon consciously ratified in 2022, which, you know, that convention provides for judicial cooperation, which Cameroon can have with other countries where people are found there committing acts of you know,
Yeah, we have
terrorism.
Interpol. We have Interpol.
Yes.
The International
Kilian,
Police
it's very important that we
Organization.
cite these things
Yes,
because
we have
also-
Antique. He's
Yes.
talking about Antique.
Yes.
That can go very far. It can
That's
go
what
as
we're talking
far
about,
as
judicial
the
cooperation.
data center in California.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is important what the lawyer is saying, and also when we talk of misinformation, we were a bit looking nationally because we talked a lot about the electorate. The influence of elections is even typically out of the borders. If you even look at the U.S. elections, you would hear there's another country in the east or another country that had militants that were actually influencing that. So we have to be very careful with that as well, because we as a country, we also have our enemies that are all over the world. They can also have teams kept somewhere to destabilize the elections, to propagate false information, and to make a candidate that probably is not the right candidate to win elections. So we must be careful about that. And those who are more informed should be able to bring attention to the attention of Cameroonians that, well, this information you are receiving is not right. We know where it's coming from. So that tracking system is existing, and that should be what the regulators should also be focusing on moving towards the elections. It's very critical. The destabilization of elections is not only national, it comes from all over the world. And every country has an enemy.
Yeah.
And these enemies are all over.
Just to close this issue about sensitization, let's not forget that there are also other coterie of laws that can be used in conjunction with the laws which I just cited. You have to be careful. The 2014 law on terrorism in Cameroon, in its section 8, actually punishes acclamation of terrorism, because some of those exogenous actors commit acts of terrorism in our country using social media. And these people can also be prosecuted on the basis of this 2014 law on terrorism and even the Criminal Justice Code. So we have to be very careful about this. Is telling people about the Budapest Convention that is now applicable, and telling them that what happened in 2018 after the presidential elections, where people were calling for destabilization or destruction of institutions in Cameroon, they can be prosecuted. And as Doctor just said, social media, you are never really hidden the way you think. When you sit from somewhere and produce an information, you can be tracked to where you are.
I think that you can never be hidden. It's not even not really hidden. If they want, like he said, they want you.
Yeah,
the
keyboard warriors.
Yes,
Kilian, just to say that misinformation or disinformation on social media is not exclusively for the citizen journalists or the public. It's also for the administration. It's also for the government actors, because if they feed the social media with misinformation, they are also causing some chaos. And if the law has to be applied, it has to apply to anyone who violates that law.
Okay,
that's the element I wanted to do. Yes,
but the law does not distinguish.
The
law is for everyone. So
yes, but we had situations here where we were presented how do they call it? False electoral monitors via social media, via mainstream social media. That was also misinformation.
Okay,
so misinformation is misinformation.
Now let me go to another aspect, which can become dicey when we go into for example, the polling day, which is very crucial in an election. Madam Ba, your party, which we are still looking forward to the submission of the files, you say it will be submitted. We trust you until Tuesday is over. About 30,000 polling stations exist in Cameroon, at least they will be there. How will you do to represent your party in, I'm asking this question to you as an opposition party member and to other opposition party members or leaders. How possible is it for some of these opposition parties to have a representative in all the polling stations, 30,000 scattered around the country?
Mr. Killian, before I get into your question, there is something I wanted to say. Social media has, created the reduction of voters' apathy in Cameroon. Because when we look at the registration of the past years, the past presidential election, it was really minute. But because of social media, a lot of youths, I talk with into control because I'm a youth leader, so I'm speaking for the youths. Social media has greatly influenced voters' apathy amongst the youths, because we all know that the youths use social media like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram to do videos and fun time, and sometimes they use it very wrongly. But with the the propagation of the the news of the presidential election, which is a very important election that would decide who will lead us for the next 7 years and our fate, a lot of youths got implicated, and that is why they went and registered into the electoral list. But Elecam published the list, and we saw just about 2 million of youths who have registered. But to me, it's already a plus, because the social media really worked for them and they went and registered. So
the final list that Elecam is yet to publish will have more youth.
Will have more youth, yeah. So that's one of the benefits of social media. It has reduced voters' apathy amongst the youth. Now, talking of the polling stations, how the UPC will be represented in the all the polling stations. We know that the UPC has what we call the human resource. UPC, every Cameroonian is a UPCist, is a nationalist party. Even people, sympathizers who can, present us, they will be there to work for the UPC.
Thank you for your campaign.
Mr. Killian, I will tell you, at times I'm in Douala, right? At times I'm in a car just because I'm a UPC leader. People do favor for me. So it is not because we don't have the financial, because the regime has the financial resources, but we have the human resources, which are the people, okay, which is democracy, the people, the power of the people. The people want the UPC, so they will represent us in all of these, polling stations.
Now, before you continue, you talk so well about your party. But your party, which is a nationalist party, the first party in the country, is the party that is divided to I don't know how many pieces. What is wrong with that party?
Mr. Killian, the UPC is not divided. That's the notion people put outside. That's the news. That's like a burst, like my co-panelist who is a jurist said, people just do bursts. The UPC is a united party. We just have different ideologies, like different, people who want to showcase their talents. The UPC of the Umyobe is one and indivisible. And we all know that this party has lasted for 77 years, Mr. Darkilian. And the government has done everything to divide this party, to kill this party. But yet, the party of crabs, we are still there moving. And I tell you, we are going to enter into it to the DISCOM election. That's a reality.
I like that courage. but I like that courage and that declaration. But to say that the government has divided the UPC, it is an overstatement, because if your house is not divided from within, no one from outside will come.
No, Mr. Killian, we all know the strategy of this regime. They use what we call the divide and rule method. They come into the party, they get key members, and they propose you something,
so
and they divide the
with
party.
The members, not with the government.
The problem is not the member, because they have this policy, they keep them hungry. Okay, you keep the people hungry so that you dominate them.
A real politician cannot be hungry.
No,
you are driven.
I am not
driven by policy.
No,
you are driven by your understanding of the world you live in.
Yes.
If you take food to be your political understanding, you're not a politician.
I said they use the strategy. The regime in place uses the strategy of divide and rule, and they use what we call keep them hungry. That's the same thing with the youth, Mr. Darkinsley. Okay, let me finish.
Yes,
that's the same thing with the youth. Okay,
yes.
This is a presidential. We are going towards our presidential elections. The youth are not into decision making, but they will come to us during this period for us to go and do campaign. They will come and they will give you 10,000 for you to go and do campaign, and that's why I told the youth, do not fall fall a prey. And that's the same thing they are doing with the UPC. They have kept us hungry so that we will be hungry and be, all the time trying to, get something from them. And they use now that policy to manipulate the weak-minded of the party. Because a true UPC will not be a party who accompanies the regime in place. Because when we went in for, and the independence of the country and the reunification, we wanted the UPC to lead. Because the UPC has a master program of this country. The President Biya was a UPCist. We all know that. So UPC is a nationalist party where all Cameroonians find that their self, the ideology is worldwide.
Oh, you speak so much, we want you to transfer that speech to the field. Yeah. Yes.
I just wanted
we are doing that,
I just wanted
sir.
to step in, to say, to answer the lady of the UPC who made a statement which is a bit very dangerous for a political movement. I have done election litigations, and the first thing I learned in election litigation, I'll call it election 101. Don't get into politics if you don't have money. Because politics or mobilization or logistics around politics requires a lot of money.
Wrong ideology,
and if
sir.
you are, as Doctor said, have an ideology, you must be able to convince the people to put in. It mustn't come only from your pocket. You can have youth mobilization. We saw Barack Obama in 2008 before he became president. He went and asked people to contribute $10 for his project, and he ended up with millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to run his campaign. So you have to convince the people. You cannot, as you were saying, if you cannot man the polling stations, you cannot complain of the results after. Besides social media, all of these things we are saying are interlinked. As a political party, you must be able to mobilize your grassroots, and people will follow you and put in their last dime if they follow your ideology. If they believe in what you're saying.
You said something that you mustn't do politics if you don't have money. It's very wrong.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It is very wrong because as a politician,
I did not say that you don't make it if you don't have money. I'm saying that it requires money, and you have to be able to raise that money.
It requires money, and if Cameroonians find in you, all your citizens, all the militants, they find in you credible, they'll be able to contribute. We saw that with Sabrali. But you said that as a politician, you need to have money. No, I don't believe in that. Because why? Because as a politician who lives with the people of the grass field, you understand their pain, you understand their plight. You mustn't have money. Okay, you just need that credibility for them to contribute.
Let me ask
Mr. Moderator, just one thing. Politics is not a restaurant.
It's not a restaurant.
It's not a restaurant. It is about a conviction of something. Definitely. And if you transcribe your conviction to food, then you're not doing politics. It's not a restaurant where you go to eat.
You misquoted me.
So you cannot be saying that you have been left hungry.
Yes, that's the policy the regime uses in place to divide political parties. It's a strategy, the divide and rule.
Now, let me, just the last, I'm told that we have used all our time. Our time goes fast. I'm going to ask just one word out of this program from Dr. Valentine Che. Briefly, because our time is up.
Yes, thank you very much, Kilian, for giving me this again. I heard a lot of what the co-panelists said about what is currently happening in Cameroon, the political climate, and I want to keep my focus on social media and how it can be done. One of the things that our able jurists, I think, was left out is, yes, you can, be liable for propagating false information, whether knowingly or unknowingly. That should be made clear, because there are people who would say, listen, I did not know. Ignorance is not really an excuse. And then another thing as well is that most of the electorate or the people in Cameroon, they use social media, they want to use it, but they are not that apt. So you ask, why am I in Cameroon? I'm in Cameroon for an ICT for Africa conference, which is taking place at Montpellier from tomorrow till the 24th. And it's we're opening up. People should want to come and join. People should want to come understand, because we're talking about this technological revolution, how we can digitize and work for a better Cameroon.
Thank you so much. The director producer of this program tells me that our time is up. We have to respect that, because we have another live program coming up. Immediately we'll leave the set. I want to thank you, Lady Madame Ba Akwen Nadie, National Youth President of the Union de Population de Cameroun UPC, thank you so much, Dr. Winfred Fu, Technical Advisor to the Minister of Post and Telecommunications. Thank you, Dr. Valentine Chair. You're an ICT expert. Thank you, Barrister Luke Kisop, who is a barrister law solicitor, and Elias Ngalambe, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Outlook newspaper. Thank you enormously, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this program. Be blessed.